Hey folks, so I know I've commented on this lots before, but in researching a project the other day, I again found myself back at this question. You see, in our activism of raising awareness about the reality among Jehovah's Witnesses, it's incredibly easy to be guilty of caricature and stereotype. It's effortless, routine almost, to make believers seem unintelligent or simple-minded. Being that I've addressed the subject in some detail now, this video will be a little more offhand and random, but the main takeaway will be that religious identity has very little to do with one's level of intelligence, certainly, nor even education. And I want to discuss why I keep coming back to this. Stick around. Hey, good people. Okay, so lately, I've been developing a very comprehensive analysis in a series on the Watchtower's excommunication policies. In one of the episodes, I talked about why disfellowing is completely immoral, psychologically harmful, and unscriptural. Then I did another one on why secular courts seem so aloof to the issue. I know a lot of you out there wonder, as I certainly have, why this persists and why the state never does anything about it. Those works will be linked below in the description and in the end screen. Well, in writing the latter video, I rewatched that entire Supreme Court appeal in Canada between the Highwood Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses versus Randy Wall. Bear in mind, I am a critic of the society, especially as it concerns excommunication. But try to compartmentalize that for a moment as I talk about the lawyer in that case for the witnesses, David M. Gnam. So often in our critique, we are focused on facts the witnesses seem completely ignorant about. And trust me, there are many of them. In the case of certain informed believers, however, and I'd include Mr. Gnam among them, we tend to gloss over what kind of knowledge they must possess simply to function in their respective roles. Let's look at that trial, for instance. Merely to pass the bar, and certainly to make the kind of case he did at the Supreme Court level, here's what you'd need just to qualify. You'd have to possess some fairly sophisticated understanding of logic. This would include, depending on your specialization, a familiarity with epistemology. Given your field, epistemology equips you with specific fact-finding tools or methods of discerning relevance to a question at hand. You'd need a high level of rhetorical ability, both oral and written, something which Mr. Gnam is clearly not lacking. You'd need a bit of experience. Bear in mind, you'll have to present before some of the most brilliant and seasoned legal minds in the country. That's just to be selected. It'd be very foolish for any corporation to just pick anyone to fight this battle. Now that explains a bit of necessary background. But let's talk about what knowledge is needed to make this specific argument. First, you'll notice in that trial how they represented with various activist religious groups. There was an advocacy for the Catholics, Muslims, Seventh-day Adventists, among others, who at least in connection with the issue at hand, sympathized with the position of the Jehovah's Witnesses. And yes, I'm perfectly aware of just how hypocritical that appeared, considering what they've written on all those groups. But to my point, you'd need to understand the importance of religious pluralism, at least from a legal and historical perspective. You'd need to appreciate what areas which the witnesses are world-renowned in their struggle for free speech, expression, publication, assembly, and so on. The witnesses have been highly acclaimed for these in the legal field, so that's a legacy you'd have to be quite versed in. You'd also need a vast understanding of various religious ceremonies and forms of discipline, as it is part and parcel with the precedents cited. So you could say there'd be a requisite amount of comparative religious insight too. You'd also need a very strong understanding of official policy and procedure within the organization you're representing. These are just some details you'd have to be abreast on. Now, my point in saying all this is that a person like David M. Gnam is hardly an idiot. If I were to sit in his company and pull out my very best refutations and objections to Jehovah's Witness doctrine, I'm not sure there'd be very much I could teach him. In fact, he could probably school me for hours. I'm not saying this speaks to the rightness or wrongness in either of our positions. I'm sure we both feel perfectly confident and seated in our worldview. And yet there he is, based on my research anyway, an elder and a Bethelite, working for the Watchtower's law firm W. Glenn Howe and Associates. There he is serving this group, feeling he is representing the one true denomination of Christianity. And here I am, certain that if Jesus walked the streets today, he wouldn't be seen within 10 feet of that religion. I'm not sure how common people like Mr. Gnam are among the witnesses. In my experience, they're fairly abnormal. Of course, there are many rank-and-file witnesses who are completely robotic in their devotion to the Watchtower. But as I watched this case, I couldn't believe how knowledgeable he was. As I speak, some of you are probably tempted to say something like, he must have been raised as a witness or have family in the faith, or say he's only using it to advance his name in the legal field, or that he's morally corrupt serving as an elder and lawyer for status. Undeniably, these can be powerfully seductive motivations for people to identify with the causes they do. But something I brought out in my video entitled The Jehovah's Witnesses Debunked is that these do not qualify as compelling refutations. These are what's called genetic fallacies and arguments from authority. Anyone can conjure up psychological explanations for why one holds certain beliefs and opinions. It's kind of similar to how some Jehovah's Witnesses will say stuff like, oh, you only left the faith so you can act upon your own fleshly impulses. You ever have one say that to you? The point is, you can't disprove someone's beliefs by drawing inferences as to the possible motivations behind their conviction. That's why I find this sort of thing so disorienting. If I could have a conversation with Mr. Gnam, I'm certain we could both defend our positions brilliantly. And after walking away frustrated, we'd have to content ourselves in the idea that there was some corrupting influences acting upon each other's thinking. If you're new to my channel, I explained this problem and what I believe the solution to it is in a video entitled What is Truth? It'll be linked below in the description and in the end screen. But I thought I'd just bring it up because it daily crops into my mind as I'm writing my scripts. Tell me what you think of all that below in the comments. Do you believe it's possible for people to be on opposite sides of an issue, yet have perfectly defensible reasons for doing so? Do bear in mind, I'm not justifying their inhuman policies. As you know, there's a great amount of diversity in this faith. I don't know what Mr. Gnam is like. I don't know if he's a power-hungry jerk or one of the most loving people in the organization who'd never overtly shun anyone. I bring all this up because I believe this understanding goes a long way in restoring relationships with those we are estranged. I think it goes leaps and bounds in engaging the other side. So with that said, please let me know in the comments. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care. Hey guys, did you like this video? You know what to do. And if something I mentioned today resonated with you, click one of them cards on this screen. I have lots of related content sure to interest you. Thanks as always for your views, and we'll see you next time.